Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a video recap of GTO World Cup for us here at Cicio Performance. So we went down to Florida here last weekend. As a lot of you know, we took 11 cars down there, and honestly we had one of the best events that we've had probably in the last 5 years. We really enjoyed, the staff and the team really enjoyed the event for sure, a lot. It was the first event that we've had both of the shops at, which was exciting to be able to service the customer with even more staff members there. We had 14 staff members there to be able to service the 11 cars that we brought, which I think is very important in keeping everybody safe and making sure that the customer is taken care of at the level that they should be taken care of trackside at the cars that are going this speed. So it was actually worked out extremely well. We had a lot of fun. So we took home 2 golds, if you will. So we brought home the #1 spot in the modified class and the #1 spot in the street class, which were 2 of the classes that we were kind of going to try to win. So that is awesome. Both of those customers, which we'll talk about in a minute, were very excited and very happy. I will also just kind of throw out there the bad, because you know, anybody that says that they take 11 cars to an event, especially a high end drag race like this where we're pushing the cars and nothing went wrong, they're lying. And I just don't like that. I don't like the whole, you know, sweep things under the rug type of thing. So I like to be able to be upfront with things and what happened. So first thing, Spackman's car, unfortunately, during the test day, we got about the 3rd or 4th pass in. We saw some oil pressure issues that we didn't like very much. And so we decided to stick a fork in that and not run it anymore. Spackman's motor has been in his car for almost 2 years, so it doesn't really owe him anything. But you know, at the same time, we didn't want to push anything and possibly have an issue. So most likely the thing just needs to be refreshed, needs some new bearings, and we'll get it ready for Texas. They're actually taking it apart right now outside here. So that was one unfortunate incident. Of course, we never want to see that happen to Spackman's car, especially since we had just upgraded the turbo kit on that car. But we hadn't seen any issues beforehand with the car. We double checked oil pressures from right when the car was put together versus its last passes at the last event, and everything looked perfect. And it reared its ugly head at a very bad time, which nothing we could control there. So that was a bummer. Then we have Glenn's car from Billet Specialties. Unfortunately, Saturday evening after the test day on Friday, and running the car Saturday, tulip to valve. There was some things that went into that that were a little bit out of our control that I'm not going to go into right now. We'll get that apart and get that fixed right away. It's not a hard fix whatsoever. Just put new valves in it and rock and roll. So the motor's been in that car for years, the same engine, the same heads. So that's something that we can do and get him back on the road fairly quickly. I don't believe he's going to go to Texas anyway, just because he's got prior commitments and other things going on. But we're going to get that car fixed up right away. Then we have Alex's car. Unfortunately, as you guys probably know or saw, she hit the wall in qualifying, and quite frankly, the car just got away from her. You know, she kind of got tunnel vision and got in the center line a little bit and got off the throttle and back on the throttle, and because she was on the center line, it pitched her sideways and she just couldn't catch it. So it happens in these 2,000 horsepower cars to the best of us, and we're just glad she's okay, and the family's of course glad she's okay as well. So now on to the winnings and everybody that had an absolute blast at the event. So we'll start with the winners. You know, Jesse Freimeyer, really good client of ours. He is an interesting case in the fact that he does a lot of his own wrenching. We provide like the long block, a sealed long block for him, and we've done a couple of other things as far as the car is concerned, but he actually installs the engine and the transmission and stuff himself, which I think is really cool. It's actually a big kind of compliment to us that when you know enough to be mechanically inclined enough to do all of your own work or a lot of your own work, but you choose to have a specific shop work with you and for you, it's a big pat on the back for us, and we actually, you know, enjoy that and enjoy him being able to do that. So we built him a sealed long block. Shep built him a trans, he installed it. This last round here, he decided to go from primes to a full ETS turbo kit to try to be as competitive as he possibly could in that class. So we put an ETS Pro 58 in that car actually 2 days before the event for him. Dropped the motor and put the turbo kit on, and then tuned it and took it down there, and he ended up winning the event. So he off the trailered that car to 797, which we were extremely happy with. Then went 803 with a little bit of a bog on the launch. and then proceeded to take #1 qualifier in the modified class with a 778, then ran through eliminations with a 779, a 782, and then I believe another 780 in eliminations to take home the win in that class, which was a very competitive class. So that was awesome. Very consistent bracket car, 180 miles an hour every single pass. I think it went 179 once, 180 every other time. So 778 on ethanol at 180 miles an hour, that's fast. So we were very proud of that, and of course he was ecstatic. So that's our billet crank 3.8 with an ETS Pro 58 on it. So that was great. Coy Jr., this is a cool story. I'm sure you guys are going to see a lot of media. You had 1320 in that racing channel out there doing a lot of interviews with him. This was Coy's first drag event ever. So his dad decided he was going to drag race this event. So at the beginning of January, actually, they sent us his 2017 to do a stock turbo build on, a Nismo turbo build, which qualifies for the stock turbo class. So we did our Street 3.8, a very simple set of street heads with just cam springs and retainers, no port work or anything like that, and then a Shep 2.5, and of course some supporting mods with the exhaust system and intercooler and so on and so forth. That car actually really impressed us on a 17-inch tire, steel brakes. The only thing we did is put seats in the car. Weighed 4,000 pounds. We put 2 carbon seats in it, and everything else was completely stock. On a 17, it consistently went 1.3s to the 60, 1.30 to 1.35, consistently almost every pass. He did a great job learning quickly how to get the light down. Had never done it before. And that car bested us 919 at 148, 147 miles an hour, something like that, don't quote me. But and then continued to go low 920s to low 930s throughout all of eliminations, and just impressed all of us. He did, and so did the car. So that car is on ethanol, of course, and weighs 4,000 pounds. We ran it with a full exhaust on a 17-inch wheel without any crazy alignment or anything like that, and it just really impressed. And he did an awesome job wheeling the car. Took home the top spot in the street class, which was awesome for him, of course, and just a really good kind of builder, confidence builder for him going into Texas, which we'll be running that car in Texas too, of course, as well. So he had a good time. Obviously, he won. He was smiling ear to ear. You couldn't really take him off of his cloud 9. So we got Dr. Dorsick. Dr. Dorsick's an older Elite Plus car. That turbo kit has been on there for, I believe, 2 years now. It's got our billet crank 3.8 in it and a Shep 1K. And that car has a full stereo, full interior, full cage. I think it weighs 42 or 100 pounds with him in it. It's super heavy, but he drives it and enjoys it. It's on a 17. He ran the 58mm class as well. Did a personal best, I believe, in the 840s. I believe, if I remember correctly, but consistently ran 840s to 860s and just had an absolute blast. I don't really know exactly where he ended up in the class, but he was ear to ear smiling when he left, and just told me, hey, take the car to Texas, we're gonna have a blast with it. So that was super awesome for him. Then we had another gentleman in the modified class named Jonathan, who is from Florida. We built his car with primes, I think about a year ago. Again, don't quote me on that. He's got our race billet crank motor with a Shep Stage 4 transmission in it, and just our normal prime build with a 12 injector setup. And this is the first time he'd been to the drag strip with us. He had gone to the drag strip a couple other times, but hadn't really gotten the feel of the car and really wanted to be there with us trackside with him, which was awesome. I got to coach him a little bit, tell him what to do, what not to do, how to do it. Obviously, he ran a personal best because he's never been there with us. I believe he went 840 as well, and we just got to watch him actually progress and just learning the car and becoming more comfortable with it, which is a huge thing that a lot of people kind of just don't see or look at in this industry. It's just, oh yeah, jump in the car and it drives itself and go straight down. No, I mean, you got put in rear wheel drive mode, doing the burnout, learning the light, learning how to roll into the light. And then of course, you know, I mean, when you got a car on a 17 and you're putting that type of power to the ground, it's not a super easy thing to drive and make sure it goes straight. You have to have soft hands, you have to not overcompensate, you really have to you know, drive the car and learn the car. And so that was big for him, you know, get the nerves out, because he's got us standing right there with him, tell him, okay, you know, make sure you're in this setting, make sure that you know, this is happening. And that's a very big part of what we do trackside, is just add that coaching aspect and just that security and the fact that we're there and helping you learn how to manage your 1,400 horsepower car, which, you know, 10 years ago, if somebody would have said, oh yeah, I'm just going to jump in a 1,400 horsepower car and run it down a drag strip, everybody would have laughed at them. And now it's just become the norm, to where we're just, you know, kind of expected to be able to do it because the cars are so advanced. But it takes a lot to actually get those nerves worked out, and that was fun to watch him be able to do that and to be a part of it. So that was really great. Thank you, Jonathan, for the support you know, through the years, and it's been really good getting to watch you enjoy that car. So then we have Andrew Irving. Andrew Irving, this was Andrew's last event with his car. Unfortunately, he just decided to kind of dive into some road racing. Well, not unfortunately, but he's decided to dive into some road racing stuff. He bought a manual GT3. He's going to spend a little bit more time at Roebling and at Road Atlanta than he is at the drag strip, for at least for a little while. So he's decided to move on past the drag GTR. That car has not run a 7 yet, had not run a 7 yet, and we really wanted to get that 7-second pass for him before he sold the car. So we dialed the car in a little bit. That car is a 3.8 with a Pro 1700 on it. We've never done a 3.8 with a Pro 1700 at the drag strip. It takes a little bit different tuning. It's also full weight and on a 17. So the dynamic was a little different than anything that we had been running. So it took us just a couple of passes to get it kind of dialed in. So he ran one pass. He was not there for test and tune, or for the testing day. He ran one pass, I believe, in test and tune, and then went right into qualifying. And he qualified with an 8.0, and we really wanted that 7.9. At least a 7.9 is what we wanted. Before he was getting rid of that car. So he got knocked out, unfortunately, first round of eliminations by Jan, another one of our customers and an employee now, which was kind of, you know, good and bad, but he didn't get a 7. He ran another 8.0. And so I went to the people that were put on the event, Eric and Pren, and I asked them, is there any way that during one of these, you know, in between lunch or something like that, we could just turn this thing up and get him a 7 before he sells the car. So thankfully, appreciate you guys, they allowed us to. We got the 793, 180 and change. Can't remember exact mile an hour. And then he literally drove back to the pits, backed the car in, and said, take the license plate off of it, I'm getting my stuff out of it. So that's what he wanted out of the car, and that was that. So I was about shed a tear, because it's one of the most beautiful cars we've built in a long time. But yeah, so he's going to do some road racing. Excited for him. Hopefully we can be a part of that. So then we have the guys in the North Shop. So the guys in the North Shop came down from Virginia and joined us, of course. And Jan, as a lot of you guys know, is a customer, and then I hired Jan as my manager for the North Shop. He's got an Elite Prime car, Prime R. So we entered that car without changing anything in the 68mm class, even though it's a stock manifold and it's a 63mm car. But I didn't want to tear the motor out of it, put different turbo kit on it, so on and so forth. And we hadn't seen the potential, or all of the potential, of those turbos yet. The car had been 762 at 180, but there was more in it, definitely. So we decided to just leave it and see how we could get along with the big boys with his car and the stock manifold, our Prime R kit. That ended up working pretty well. We ended up taking P3, took the podium spot, the last podium spot with his car. We fought a couple little things. We had a throttle body that was closing, and it turned out, we thought it was like some wiring, but it turned out the throttle body was just the motor and the throttle body had just given up, which is the first time we'd seen that. It literally was just pushing the throttle body closed with boost. So we put a throttle body on it and it fixed that. And we're able to go out there and get a couple of decently consistent passes. The car did not run a personal best, but we were adjusting some suspension stuff and working on it a little bit. So it did go 760s and change, I think 768 or 767 at 180. And then we're going to bring that car back out to Texas just like it sits, enter it still in the class that it's outgunned in, and have some fun with it because it's just running good and consistent. But of course Jan had a blast. And then he brought down not only the staff from the North Shop, but also 2 of his clients, Elliot and Matt. Elliot was in the Street 8 class jumping around and smiling the whole entire time, having fun. We don't have a lot to do with that car. It's tuned by Sam, and it was built by Baker back in the day when Baker was around, so we don't have a ton to do with it, but we helped where we could. I coached him where he could with driving, and he was a part of the camp, and we enjoyed having him. He was smiling ear to ear, and he is a client now of the North shop, so that's awesome. And he got to kind of experience what we're like trackside, which I think is something that's extremely important. And then he brought Matt, which is a stock turbo car, 2017 stock turbo car, full weight. We let him borrow some wheels and tires. He got a personal best, I think a 10.1, and got to run that class. And I believe he raced actually first round of eliminations with Coy Jr., who obviously took him out. But again, just had a blast the whole time. He was smiling ear to ear. He didn't have a driving suit, so I let him borrow mine. I'm pretty sure that he farted in it, which I'm not very excited about, but that's okay. I'm glad he had a good time. So yeah, all in all, we had an absolute blast. I will say the dynamic of this team has just elevated even yet to another level, in my opinion. And I just stand in awe watching the men and women that I employ work together. One of my employees made a post on the way home, I believe, and it said something to the effect of this: we're not a team because we work together. We're a team because we respect each other and trust each other every day, day in and day out. And that was just awesome, touched me very much. And it's true, you watch this team work together, how they interact with the client, how they interact with each other. There's no talking at each other. Everybody's learning from each other and entrusting in the other person. I have a system that I've put in place that makes it so that at all times the left hand knows what the right hand is doing and vice versa. And it's really just a seamless process that I'm extremely proud of, and we continue to make better, and so does my staff as far as the organization of our trailer and our team. And we just, it's an aspect of this industry that we love. We really love doing it. We love going to the track. A lot of people say that, you know, whatever, it's marketing, whatever, but like, one of my staff members came up to me that hadn't been to the track with us, one of the gentlemen from the North shop, his name's Will, and he said, I thought we knew why, or I thought I knew why we did this, and I didn't, but now I do. This was amazing. So just that kind of stuff, like, that's why we do this. You know, we go out, we want to service the customer, and we want to keep that customer safe, and it's very important to make sure that you have enough staff members, enough knowledge, enough experience to get these cars, you know, the 15,000 horsepower were the cars that we took, down from one end of the track to the other safely, to go as fast as they can with people that are employees that are educated as much as they can, that can then educate the client. And it's just important to us and very important to me. And I can't thank my team enough for exactly how they've risen to that occasion, actually, I think is the way to say that. So anyway, and then the event. The event is always awesome. We love that event. We really enjoy the people that put that event on. Of course, you have Eric, that everybody knows used to be the manager and the guy that ran MS. Then Perrin Shaw, who is one of the owners of Chicago Motor Cars, that sells a lot of the high-end exotic cars. And he's just got a heart and a passion. He also obviously has a GTR, a drag GTR, and then Arnie. And these three, they just put a lot of heart and soul into this event. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, they put a lot of heart and soul into it, and then, you know, maybe, you know, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, they're probably making a bunch of money, or look at how the entry fees or whatever. I can assure you that's not the heart behind this. And whether they are or whether they aren't making money, I have absolutely no idea, but the amount of time and effort they've put into making this thing better is really awesome, and it's encouraging to me. The application that they did is absolutely awesome. You know, you download the app on your phone, it pushes notifications. You don't have to try to listen to a 20-year-old PA system over, you know, 2,000 horsepower cars, one revving on launch control in the pits and whatever. You just pops up right on your phone, and that's awesome. The lunches and dinners that they bring in to make it so that everybody can just eat there at the track. And then of course the awards ceremony just takes it to another level. Instead of just kind of going and picking up your trophy or whatever, you go, you get dressed up, you go out and you have a nice dinner with everybody that was included in the event. And that's something that's just I just think it's cool. You know, not every event needs to do it, but I think that they've done a good job kind of carving out their niche, and I just appreciate all the extra time and effort that they've put into making that event just a little bit different than a lot of the other motorsports events, and I hope it continues. We've been a supporter and a sponsor from day one. I remember being at a racetrack with them and talking about, hey, listen, they said we're thinking about doing this. I said, well, I'm in. I would love to see you guys succeed in that, and bring just another aspect to the sport, just because I knew they were going to do it differently than a lot of other people had, which we need that. We need variety in the industry. So thank you guys very much for that. So anyway, that's the recap. I'm also going to do a write-up as well, but I know sometimes my write-ups are as long-winded or more long-winded than this video, so I figured it'd be easier for people to just watch rather than read it all, so you'll have your option one way or the other. So thanks so much.